good to go?
Just step up to the mic there.
Do I have to go to that division or not? No. Okay, well, if you're confused about the government's housing agenda, then that makes a lot of Australians, because the government says that they want to cut red tape, but then they announced today they want to become the nation's largest mortgage insurer, in addition to being a massive property developer. So either you want to cut red tape and make it easy for builders and tradies and developers, or you want to have a big government solution to everything, which is what we've seen today with this expansion of the home guarantee scheme. So I think it is perverse and bizarre that the children of billionaires will now have access to a government insurance scheme. I mean, effectively, a welfare system is now going to be opened up to the children of billionaires. So it was once a targeted scheme, and now it's a universal scheme without any means testing. So I think that is quite bizarre. The other point I'd make from over the weekend is, in terms of the National Construction Code changes, the government said this was a bad idea. Now they say it's a good idea. You'll forgive me for saying it is very hard to follow at times. And of course, this is all a consequence of the government's massive failure on housing. We are living through the biggest population surge since the 50s. And at the same time, we've got a massive collapse in housing construction. So we've got more people than ever, and we've got a massive collapse in housing construction. So Labor have got to focus on the supply side. They've had 3 years. Under the last coalition government, there were 200,000 houses built every year on average, and now we're down to 170,000 houses a year on average. So for all the talk and bluster and 10:30 p.m. media releases on Saturday night, we see fewer houses, more bureaucracy, and very bad results for the Australian people. And younger people are rightly saying, well, what the hell is going on?
So where should the income cap be to stop those children of billionaires, as you say, getting out of the system?
Well, I mean, I think it needs to be at the average income level at the most. I mean, these are government schemes. They're not supposed to be for everyone. And I would say, in general, we have a problem with middle-class welfare in Australia because we see now a ballooning budget deficit, 10 years of it, and these are the sort of things that can't be afforded in the long run. And I'm sure that the contingent liability for this particular scheme now would be going into the tens of billions of dollars.
Do you think the children of billionaires would really be interested in the kinds of houses that hit within the property price cap?
Yes, because it's well above the median.
Is the coalition concerned that this expansion will stoke up property prices?
Look, any demand-side measure could drive an increase in prices. That's not in question. And every party over the last few years have had different demand-side measures, as you know. And it's a fact that there is a small sometimes and sometimes larger impact of demand-side measures. In this case, given it's uncapped and not means-tested, I would say that the change on the demand side could actually be quite material.
Just to get back to the average income being the cap, do you think a couple or anyone sort of single on the average income can afford to buy into the housing market as it stands with that 5% or 20% cap?
But this is not the only way in, right? I mean, this ostensibly is designed for people that have no deposit or low deposits. You've still got to service the mortgage. So this home guarantee scheme expansion doesn't change that fact. So my point is, it's not means tested, which means that wealthy people can use it, and I don't think that's an appropriate use of taxpayer funds, even if it comes through the liability. Now, the government haven't said how much the contingent liability is going to be. I would encourage you to ask the Minister how much it is going to be. I've heard that it could be as much as $60 billion.
I understand that, but just someone earning just above the average, a couple of bucks above the average income, that can't save up enough for the deposit to get into the house. They're spending what would be close to that deposit, too close to their mortgage payments on rent each week anyway. Where do they fall into that system?
So we'll announce a policy closer to the election about exactly where we think the cap should be. But I'd make the point, this is not the only way in. There are fintechs, there are private solutions here for people that have no deposit or low deposit. Now, these organisations, people who've been running a small business, developing an idea to solve this problem, they've now been destroyed and deleted by this government. And in fact, they weren't even consulted. The government did a targeted consultation just to the insurers and a few others for 2 weeks, which is a secret. You can't find it on the Treasury website. And they don't give a stuff about the small businesses that have actually developed innovative solutions for people that have no deposit or low deposits.
Senator Bragg, can I just ask you, this week is 12 months since the IR reform, the omnibus reform
Yeah.
that the government put in there. Feeling really good about it. Unemployment's where it wants to be, wages are rising, small businesses are growing. What do you reckon has been the impact of these reforms? What have you heard? Member of the coalition.
Yeah.
Labor says the coalition said the sky was going to fall in and it hasn't. What's your response?
Well, we see the impact in the building sector. So one of the first things the government did was abolish the ABCC. We now see the CFMEU running rampant across the country. The New South Wales branch, the CFMEU has announced plans to take on apartment builds in that state. And so we'll see a 30% tax for people who are wanting to buy a new apartment in New South Wales. For many first home owners, a small apartment in Melbourne, Sydney or Brisbane will be their way in. So that's one of the initial costs of Labor's obsession with serving its vested interest, not the Australian people.
Senator Bragg, what else would you like to see the government do in terms of helping first-time buyers?
Well, I mean, the main thing is to get the supply side moving. So we want to see getting back towards 200,000 houses a year. We think that having the 10-year freeze on the NCC was a good start. And then we think more broadly, getting the migration mix right is important. So having more yoga teachers come into the country compared to construction workers is not a good start. And of course, we have to make sure we get more apprentices, more Australian apprentices moving. Those are the sort of things that the home building sector and the tradies are talking about. I mean, of course, we wouldn't also have a bureaucratic approach in the form of the Housing Australia Future Fund. The idea that the Canberra-based organisation is going to solve the nation's housing crisis is also very misguided. I mean, this fund has had 2 years of operation and it's now had $10 billion to build just 17 houses. So this is not the method that we would deploy. All good? All right, thanks very much.